It's Hurley in the morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Exactly 5 minutes past the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to announce that this is a special Hurley in the morning edition of our monthly Ask the Congressman program with United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. The congressman, it's understandable. I mean, they've been going like crazy. There just are no evenings. We usually do this in the 5 o'clock hour at night. There just were no evenings during the entire month of January that we were able to do it, so we didn't want to miss it. And I appreciate the congressman carving out the time to do this right here, right now. So all this hour long, we will prioritize your phone calls. I have enough questions to go for a 2-hour special edition of Ask the Congressman, but we have an hour. So my questions are ready to go in between your phone calls at 609-407-1450 if you have a question for United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo, who joins us now. Happy New Year, Congressman. How are you, sir?
Yes, Happy New Year. Good morning, and thank you for accommodating the crazy schedule and still letting us do this.
Happy to do so, sir. Let me ask you right up front to talk to your listeners about your committee assignments for the new Congress.
Well, fortunately, I have had for a number of terms now some just, I think, really outstanding committees. Not that any committee is not outstanding, but these committees are relevant to our district. These committees are, I think, important to the nation. Very interesting, and I've had an opportunity for a number of years now to serve on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. For 12 years, I chaired the Coast Guard Committee and had an opportunity a couple of years ago to chair the Aviation Committee, which was just formally announced yesterday, where they're reorganizing the committee. So I will be chairing that again, but I will still be on the Coast Guard Committee as well. Second long-time committee is Armed Services. That pretty much speaks for itself. But New Jersey doesn't get a lot of attention for its military bases. And we've talked a lot about the 177th, the premier Homeland Security base in the entire nation. But we have the mega base, the combined base at Dixon, Lakehurst, and McGuire. We've got just a number of other bases. I think there's 7 altogether. So this is a big deal for New Jersey, and it's a big deal for the country. So Armed Services will continue to be one of the major committees. And the committee that is relatively new, although I am starting my 7th year on there, is the House Intelligence Committee. It's a little bit different than the other committees, Harry, because to get on transportation, armed services, education, natural resources, et cetera, you have to be picked by a committee of your peers called the Steering Committee, and you're voted on. On the Intelligence Committee, it's called a Select Committee because it is a direct pick of the Speaker. And it is the smallest committee in Congress. There are 20 members on the committee. As an example, on Armed Services and Transportation, there are probably 70 members. But it's just an incredible committee. I can't begin to say how motivating, inspirational, scary all of that is. We oversee the 17 intelligence agencies to protect the country. And 4 years ago, when the committee reorganized with subcommittees for the first time, they asked me to chair the CIA subcommittee, which I will be doing again in this term. And I'm particularly excited by that because we have just been languishing from a homeland security, national defense, anti-terrorism position with the past administration's take on this, where we're constantly hearing the biggest threat to America is, something other than terrorism, and all that's going to change. Mike Pompeo was sworn in last night, so I'm particularly excited about the opportunities we're going to have to be in a better position to protect the country.
We're going to get to your phone calls in just a little bit. Let us get out and running, and then we will prioritize your calls at 609-407-1450 if you have a question or a comment for your United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo of New Jersey's 2nd Congressional District. Having just noted the fact that you're the chairman of the CIA committee and that former Congressman Mike Pompeo, I want to just chastise the Senate Democrats a little bit and to say that they slow-walked him. I thought it was disrespectful to do that to anyone, let alone a member of Congress. But they slow-walked him a little bit, but, he got confirmed. It's also pretty sad that somebody that is, to me, not objectionable at any level, totally respected on both sides of the aisle, and Congressman, only 14 Senate Democrats voted to confirm him. I know you only need 50, and Mike Pence could break a tie, but I think that's disgraceful. I really do.
Well, it really is, because here's an individual who is he's perfect qualifications for this. He's a West Point grad, number one in his class at West Point. I think he was the editor of the Harvard Law Review. He's been on the House Intelligence Committee. He was not career military, but he was in the military for quite a while. And I've sat with him for 4 years on the Intelligence Committee. This man is brilliant. His insight is incredible. He is focused. He is committed. And the Democrats know that, and they're just hell bent on doing their thing and politics before country in many of these respects. And I'm disappointed, but I talked to Mike actually Inauguration Day, January 20th. We had a chance to chat for a while. He is really excited to see the enthusiasm on his face and to hear his voice about how ready he is. And he was not able to do basically anything. None of them are until they're confirmed.
Yeah.
So he is there. He's hitting the ground running and chairing the CIA committee from our side, which is authorization and oversight. I can't wait for us to be able to roll up our sleeves and work with him and the new administration on just a better policy to protect the country.
Is it fair to say that the other side, and it gives you a chance to expand on something I definitely wanted to give you some time to address, Congressman LoBiondo, and that is the difference between when you're in the majority party in the legislature, but you're dealing with an administration and executive branch of the other party, you wind up having to deal with their appointees who typically are, at best, incomplete in their dealings with you, at worst, dishonest. What a difference, isn't it, that now, imagine what a trade. I mean, look, I don't want to say anything in front of a member of Congress that's off-putting, but CIA Director Brennan, you can have him. I didn't trust that man. I think he's a dishonest man. At the very, very minimum, he's deceptive as heck. And what a trade, Mike Pompeo for John Brennan. I mean, it's like pinch me time, isn't it?
Well, it really is. And, to sort of put this in a little bit different focus and light, politics is never far from anything here. But in certain areas, it's got to be completely removed. I am convinced Mike Pompeo comes into this with no political agenda whatsoever, and that's not been the case with a prior administration. When you have a direction from the administration to come in with the intelligence community and with the armed services to say that the biggest threat to our country is climate change and force us to spend money, spend time, spend effort with very talented individuals to develop plans to combat climate change, when you've got ISIS burning people alive and you've got al-Qaeda doing what they're doing, you've got the Iranian threat and the North Korean threat and the Chinese threat, and I can go down the whole long list, something is very wrong. So this is changed immediately last night with Mike Pompeo, and from our perspective, something you said is absolutely true, because for 8 years, the responsibility for Congress, when the administration puts forth an agenda for you fill in the blank department, in the case of the intelligence community, we have to authorize these things. We were never getting straight information. That's why there were so many trips that I was asked to take into you fill in the blank so I could get the ground truth that we weren't able to get here in Washington. That's all going to change. That's all going to change. It changed as of last night, and it's for the best for the country. And for the men and women who are volunteering in some very difficult and challenging and dangerous circumstances, they're going to know that we have their back.
It's 15 minutes past the hour. United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo continues. You can tell, at least I can tell, I'm your trained broadcasting specialist. The congressman is playing injured this morning. He didn't say anything to me, but I hear it in his voice. It's strained. We have a lot of your phone calls to get to next. We have you batting first and you batting second. We're just going to go away for a quick break, Sean Hannity, and a brief Hurley in the Morning timeout, and we'll come right back to our special Hurley in the Morning edition of our monthly program, Ask the Congressman. If you're not familiar with this, because you listen to the Hurley in the Morning program and you didn't know that we do this program every month, it floats. So we can't tell you it's on a set date, and it floats because obviously a member of Congress and his commitments and so on. So we float it with his availability, but it's typically 5 p.m. hour during the week, and then a couple of times during the year we wind up doing a special Hurley in the Morning edition, either in the 7 o'clock hour or the 8 o'clock hour. So if you're new to the program, Ask the Congressman. We continue after this brief timeout, and you can pose your questions by dialing in 609-407-1450 right now, and we'll be right back. Thank you very much, Senator. It is 21 minutes past the hour. You're listening to a special edition, a special Hurley in the Morning edition of our monthly program, Ask the Congressman, with your United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo, and your phone calls are just blazing. Welcome to the program, caller. You're on the air with the Congressman.
Top of the morning, Congressman Harry. I have two questions for you, Congressman. Congratulations on your appointment on the CIA committee. And
by the way, Joe, you're treating the Congressman like Sean Spicer, man. Question and a second question. Go ahead. I'm just teasing.
Right.
I'm just teasing.
Congressman from South Carolina, Trey Gowdy. He's on the Intelligence Committee. Question is, what's his job, and do you know him, and is he a good guy? Second question, General Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis. They did 26 strikes in Syria and Iraq and caught the number one man, Abu Dhabi. Is that correct?
Abu Dhabi. You got it, Joe. All right, the Congressman, take it away.
Well, Trey Gowdy is just a new member. In fact, last night was his first Intelligence Committee meeting, and this morning we have another Intelligence Committee, and that'll be Trey's second one. There were 3 openings. Now with Mike Pompeo, that'll create another opening. There were more than 70 members of Congress that went to the Speaker for the 3 openings, and Speaker had a rough choice to do this, but Trey Gowdy, he formerly chaired the Benghazi Committee. He's really solid. This guy is thoughtful. He's not a hot dog. He's not out there to just get in front of the media. I think he's going to be a great addition to the Intelligence Committee. Now, and the truth is that I've not served on other committees with him, so I've observed him within our conference, but I think he's going to be outstanding, and I think it was a very good pick by the Speaker. On the second topic, General Mattis, I could not be more pleased, more excited, more thrilled that the Secretary of Defense is going to be somebody who is a soldier's general, a general's general. This guy is so well respected across the board for his ability to understand that the strength of the nation is completely important if we're going to have peace. And he's got a tough job, Harry and listeners. The readiness position of the country with the military is in a deplorable state, but I think Mattis is really going to be turning things around and working with the team of Homeland Security of General Kelly, working with Mike Pompeo and the intelligence community, which they all work very closely together. I think this is going to be an excellent move.
Congressman, the first drone strikes under President Trump were carried out actually on Inauguration Day and then on Saturday in central Yemen. In case anybody had any wonder about the commander-in-chief, that didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long, and let me tell you, the intelligence community is just extraordinary in their ability to be able to help protect the country. And this is done when you hear that there's one of these strikes that takes place. This is a result of probably months and months and months of pattern of life observations, as they call them. It's a combination of signal intelligence, a combination of human intelligence. And I can't tell you how many times in the past 6 years that I've been on the committee where all that work has been done for months and months and months, and the community has asked for the go-ahead to take one of the bad guys out, and then for whatever reason it's denied.
Yeah, that's a very fair comment, because the U.S. Central Command, they disclose, but sometimes they'll disclose 2, 3, or more weeks at one time, not day by day.
Right, and so you're going to have a whole new. There's just going to be a whole new approach to all of this, and we have not had a strategy in dealing with ISIS. We've been reactive, not proactive, and that's with Al-Qaeda, that's with ISIS and the Boko Haram. You come down these terrorist groups. I think you're going to see, and I'm expecting and have no reason to believe we won't see a unified strategy that is a proactive strategy, that is a strategy that is designed to win, not just to be reactive and be able to make some public claims here and there, because that's what it's going to take to be able to move us off the dime as we move into the future with these dangerous organizations.
On top of that, also U.S. aircraft carried out bombing missions in Iraq and Syria over the past couple of days. So we're helping the locals, it seems, Congressman, to take their self-declared capital of Raqqa. So it looks like good stuff is happening.
Well, I think so, and again, the new team is, they're newly minted, they're seasoned in terms of their experience and their ability to understand these problems, but they're working with massive bureaucracies. In the case of Mattis, you think of all the branches of the military. In the case of the intelligence community, while Mike Pompeo is the new director, and I think he's going to do a fabulous job, you've got thousands and thousands of people who are there. And unfortunately, I think some of the bureaucrats who may be in place, I don't want to say they're not going to be on board with the new program, but he's got his challenges to be able to get, sometimes it's herding cats here. So I think it's still going to be a very good move. I think what you're going to have with Mattis and Pompeo especially, there's going to be a respect for the leadership and the direction that those agencies are asked to go in that's right for America. And everybody's going to recognize it's the right thing for America, where we get back to the point where our allies trust us and our enemies fear us, and then we're working from a position of strength.
I like that. You're listening to United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. It's his program, his monthly program, Ask the Congressman, exclusively on WPG, and today on Hurley in the Morning, typically in the 5 o'clock hour each and every month. You're on the air with Congressman LoBiondo. Your question.
Good morning, Harry. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning.
Frank, we know that probably in the very near future, somebody's going to test Trump to see how he's going to react militarily. Somebody's going to take a poke at us to see what our reaction's going to be. I don't think it'll be Russia, and I don't think it'll be China. I think you're going to see North Korea or Iran use some kind of provocation, and I hope that Trump will kick him in the teeth so hard and kick him to the curb and send a message loud and clear that our pussyfooting around has come to an end. And just as you said, our reaction, instead of doing proactive work, and we ought to start going after him now, or at least start sending a message, you mess with us, you're going to get hurt.
Eric, I want to say to you, but then I'm anxious for the congressman's answer. For me, I thought Trump, he comes pre-qualified. He's advertised that he's going to be strong, that he's going to be tough. My initial instinct is that clown actors won't try to awake the new president in that regard. Congressman, what do you think?
Well, it's hard when you're dealing with a madman like the leader in North Korea to understand what's in that mindset.
Yeah.
But I think for those who are around the North Korean leader, who are around the Ayatollah, and for the Iranians, they're going to realize if they're not convinced that Trump was serious, when they look at General Mattis and they see his track record and not just what he has said, but what he has been willing to do and how he's been willing to do it. If that doesn't give them pause, then they're being very foolish.
Do you think Trump can put out the new rules of engagement? We win, you lose, we live, you die. How's that? Plain and simple.
Yeah, I think that's going to sum it up. Well, the rules of engagement have been a serious problem. We have had, and I understand some of this. A lot of it I don't understand. But in my trips overseas, when I'm generally involved with Navy SEAL teams in some of these places, where the rules of engagement are such that you almost have to be wounded before you can shoot back, something is drastically wrong.
Yeah.
We have the best trained military, the most committed, patriotic men and women in uniform, and to put them in harm's way, I just think it's wrong. So I suspect all that's going to change, and change pretty quickly.
Something I've advertised, and if I get it wrong, I like to be corrected, and you're in a position where you can correct me. I've been saying basically that over the past 8 years in the age of Obama, it went from if a soldier felt that his life or her life was in danger, they could defend themselves. Then Obama changed the rules of engagement to that a weapon would actually have to be pointed at you. That's that's unbelievable, actually. Then I heard it changed even further, that you would have to be actually fired upon. Did it get that bad?
You're pretty close to the truth there.
It's incredible. Eric, I've got to get the break in. We got to go, my friend. That frees up one open line for your United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Don't bail out on the phone lines. We're just going to be gone for 2 minutes and coming right back to your phone calls at 609-407-1450.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Taking your phone calls for United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Welcome to the program. You're on the air. Caller?
Hello.
Yep, you're on. Go.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Congressman, congratulations on your committee appointments. They are
thank you.
They're superb. One of the tax reform is high on the list of President Trump's priorities. One of the onerous middle-class taxes is on senior citizens. It's the tax on 85% of their senior citizens' benefits, and it's really rough. There should be one of the first income tax reforms that you should consider. And considering New Jersey doesn't tax the senior citizen benefits, there's no reason why the federal government should tax them also. Just an observation.
Well, I completely agree with you. This is something we've talked about for years, that that tax is particularly troublesome and causing great problems for a large number of people. I'll have to tell you, though, with all the discussions that are taking place, I'm not on the Ways and Means Committee, but I've not heard them bringing that up. I know I have at least some colleagues who feel as I do, that they would be very happy to vote to give seniors that break. I'm not sure it's going to be part of the package when it comes forward.
Your input would be very important to that committee, I bet you.
Well, I have let them know before, and I'm letting them know again. And as are, a bunch of my other colleagues, everybody's got a kind of a different list of what they're doing. It's going to be a negotiation with the House, the Senate, Republicans, Democrats, the administration on what's into that final list. But I agree with you for sure.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the call. 609-407-1450. Actually, literally, because he was in studio with me an hour before I went on air, literally making his way to our nation's capital is Paul Rotella. Drive safely. You are on the air, Paul.
Hey, good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Congressman.
Hello, Paul.
Hey, Frank. Hey, listen, I just wanted to say, Harry, you don't know this, but, Congressman LoBiondo is trying to put me out of a job. We introduced the local Radio Freedom Act to stop the performance tax.
Yep.
And my job is to lobby congressmen to sign it and co-sponsor it. But Frank didn't even wait. He just jumped right on it and co-sponsored. He was I think he was the first sponsor. So all I can say is, Congressman, thank you for supporting local radio, great stations like WPG, and for understanding how important local radio is to New Jersey. So I just had to call to thank you for that. And that's really it, Congressman. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate what you do to keep us informed. This was an issue that I think, Paul, you brought to my attention. I'm not sure how many years ago. We had some very misguided members of Congress who were trying to change things around. But I think local radio is important anywhere, but especially when you look in our community in South Jersey and the rural nature of our district, this would be a terrible blow if we could not protect local radio. So I intend to continue to do everything I can from my vantage point.
It's so great to have a congressman who gets it. Harry, we are lucky. And, Frank, I hope you keep doing what you're doing because there's nobody that does it better, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Drive
See
safe.
you soon.
Drive safe. You're on the air with Congressman LoBiondo. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Congressman LoBiondo.
Good morning.
This is Lillian. I am calling about Health and Human Services. I realize it's not one of your committees, but I had a chance to quickly see someone who was at a hearing for that seat. Do you know if there's a new director or of Health and Human Services presently? I'd like to write to someone. I've been experiencing some awful situations as far as health care is concerned. I'm a senior now and really am concerned for myself and a lot of other people. Can you give me any information on the current appointment to Health and
Well, it's Dr. Tom Price. He's a congressman from Georgia. He is President Trump's pick to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
He is going before the Senate now. Senate committee may be voting on his confirmation out of the committee today. If that is successful, his confirmation before the full Senate will probably be this week. So by the end of the week, I would venture a guess and be somewhat optimistic in saying that he will then be the new Secretary of Health and Human Services.
And Congressman, he is experiencing what we talked about earlier in your program, the slow walking of the Democrats who decided to target certain people. What a distinguished member of Congress. He's a doctor. I mean, imagine having a doctor that could work on, this whole Obamacare mess and all of this and some phony issue that they're trying to make big hay out of. So his hearings should already be over, but they're making him come back for a second hearing today because they, of course, have more questions for him. But hopefully you're right, and I think you are right, Congressman. He'll get out of it. He'll probably get all the Republican votes, none of the Democrat votes, just like last night, escaped by one vote to go to the full Senate. And I just want to repeat what I said earlier. It's disgraceful the way the Democrats have behaved. And I didn't mention this before. I mentioned the Senate Democrats slow walking. I think the congressional Democrats and their behavior at the dais at these confirmation hearings, it's been very disrespectful, very confrontational, and really ugly. And Obama had, depending on who you believe, 7 or 9 confirmed by January 20th of 2009. President Trump had 2. Now he's got 3. Soon he'll have a couple more. But it's been disgraceful, Congressman, what they've been doing.
Well, this is going to be the Chuck Schumer style. This is his leadership, and it's all about politics for them. It's all about the election in 2018. It's all about them trying to, damage President Trump. It's all about them and their ability to raise money with their base. So I think you're going to look to see a lot of this as we move forward.
Terrible. Caller, you're on the air with Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Congressman, are there any more major projects going on in New Jersey with federal money? Like I saw the one thing where the one Air Force base, they're implementing an aircraft there.
Well, the projects for New Jersey, the transportation infrastructure projects, they're determined by the state of New Jersey. So what we have is the Federal Transportation Trust Fund that every time somebody gasses up, there's a portion of that goes to the state, there's a portion of it that goes to the federal government. Those monies are collected by the federal government and then authorized to be distributed by formula back to the states. The states then have a transportation priority list of the projects that they will use the federal money for, and they can use that in a formula based, I think it's depending on the projects, maybe 60-40 that goes into it. So the states will decide which projects move forward. Now, we have the Army Corps projects, which will be moving forward. We've got a big one that is just getting untangled from the legal problems with Absecon Island, which is Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Longport. That's a pretty huge project. There's an ongoing project in Atlantic City that is the seawall and the completion of some of the infrastructure down at that end by Gardner's Basin. So these things will be ongoing, but most of the projects that you might be talking about would be determined by the state of New Jersey, and then they would access the federal money to get to do them.
That's pretty informative. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for calling. Thank you very much for checking in. We're going to come right back after a brief time out. The next caller knows who they are. It's Ask the Congressman on a special Hurley in the Morning edition. We continue. It's 43 minutes past the hour. This is WPG. We'll be right back. Taking your phone calls for United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air.
I didn't know I was next. I apologize.
No, that's
Good morning, Congressman.
Yeah. Good morning.
I have two questions. The first question that I have is about the money that was released to the Palestinians an hour or two before Trump was inaugurated. I had heard that Congress had blocked that, and I was wondering, was that against the law to do that, knowing that Congress blocked it?
It wasn't against the law, but it was one of those things that clearly broke all protocol. This president has been demonstrating, I want to choose my words carefully, of his attitude towards Israel for some time now. And this is a real slap in the face. Just like the recent UN resolution that they abstained on, it was a disgrace. This is a disgrace, and it was not against the law, but clearly an hour before leaving office, I think it was pretty bad move.
And to our gentlelady caller, we've been covering this very aggressively this morning prior to your call, a little bit during the LoBiondo show, but also earlier in our program. Congress did place a hold on this. Republicans in Congress placed a hold on it until Obama. That type of hold was always honored. He did not honor it, and he waited until the last second, and then he told Congress about it, as you say, an hour before the new president was sworn in. It's a filthy, dirty deal, but don't forget his first phone call upon taking office on January 20th of 2009 was to the Palestinian Authority, and it looks like literally the last thing he did on the way out was to give them $227 million that we know of. Who knows what else he's done that we don't know about? So I would say his record is rather consistent with whose side he's on, and I don't think anybody, Republican or Democrat, Independent, can dispute that. First call to them, hundreds of millions on the way out the door. I reject it. I think it's disgusting. You said you had a second. You said you had a second question.
Yeah, this president inherited a big mess. It's just a big. Everything's a mess. Economy, healthcare, you name it, it's a mess. And he's got a lot on his plate. The second question I had was, I had heard vaguely about a missile that was under.
Say that again. Your phone's breaking up now. Are you talking about the test from Great Britain, and that the Prime Minister did not notify promptly that the Trident missile had misfired? It did not have a warhead on it. But is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
All right, I'm reading your mind. Congressman, what you know about that? What's
It was headed towards India or Africa, and instead it headed for the U.S. mainland.
Correct.
So headed for us.
Correct.
So could you tell me a little bit about that, please? What happened and who was responsible for that?
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah,
you
get that? There's certain thing this guy knows that he can't tell us, but you know what you're allowed to know. That's what's been released. Prime Minister May is in a sticky wicket, as they call it there, over across the pond, because she didn't tell. This was June, if I'm not mistaken, that this happened. She didn't tell her legislature, the parliament, until very recently. So you know what you can know at this
meet
point.
with Trump. Is that who is coming over here to meet with Trump later this week?
Yeah, Friday.
Okay.
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 Have a good day. 49 minutes past the hour. Congressman, let me get to some of your some of the topics that I have for you, and then we'll get some more calls in towards the end. If you want to check in, as we always do, we prioritize your calls, and we must have taken 12. What do you see as the legislative agenda for this year?
Well, the president has laid out, border security is going to be a top. Obviously, health care is going to be really big. I think tax reform is going to be really big. You saw what he did on trade policy with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which, by the way, I applaud. I know there are Republicans who are upset with him. I've looked at these trade deals, and this was the most egregious of all. This would have really hurt with American jobs being lost at an even greater degree. So what happens from here with trade policy is going to be really important. National security, protecting the country, anti-terrorism. These are all things that you're going to see him hitting the ground running with. And some of it can be done by executive order, as we saw yesterday, and I think we'll see probably, if I'm not missing my guess, executive orders that are going to stream out that'll make common sense. They won't be like President Obama's for the most part. And then that which has to be worked out by Congress, the House of Representatives, I think, will get its act together pretty quickly. But don't forget, most of these things in the Senate are going to need 60 votes. And if what Chuck Schumer is doing with nominees, cabinet appointments, is any indication, you can expect that they're going to basically block anything. And then a report broke last night what the president's going to do for the replacement of Supreme Court Justice Scalia. And that's going to be a battle royal because Chuck Schumer essentially said that they'll reject anybody that President Trump puts forward. So
he said for his whole term.
Yeah, for his whole.
Remember that we were going to lose the Republic, Congressman, if we didn't replace somebody just for a few months. But he can wait the whole 4 years or 8 years. How about this, though? If the Democrats go too far, the Republicans can just change the rules, just like Harry Reid did, and they can make everything 51 votes. Now, I think that the minority has a role, and I think it has worked generally well for 240-plus years, but we're in a different era now where things that have never been done before, they're blocking routine things. So when you abuse that power of the minority, I think it should be taken away.
The rules. And he, I liked his answer. He just said, we're going to get it done. So I think he was pretty coy about it. The other thing that's going to be on the list, and I don't know how this is going to work out, but I look forward to supporting it, is infrastructure. The nation's roads and bridges are in desperate need. How we pay for it is going to be the big question.
And how about this? I have to believe this is going to be a 2017 item. The president is absolutely committed to aggressively lowering the taxes on individuals and corporations.
Oh, yeah, I mentioned tax reform, and that's going to be big. I know he talked about it again yesterday of what that can be down to. And that's actually an area where there could be some agreement with Schumer and the Democrats. I think there should be because from a business standpoint, this is repatriation of dollars that should be coming back here into this country. Businesses will be more incentivized to do their work here and keep their money here. And, of course, individuals getting a break will be the trade-off that we do it both together.
Let's get two more calls in before the end of the hour for the Congressman. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Harry. Good morning, Congressman, and congratulations on your re-election. That was great. And I did actually see you on C-SPAN. I'm a big C-SPAN watcher, and I saw you taking the oath. And it sort of brought back a little bit of New Jersey here. I'm sort of wasting your time because you brought up the two subjects that I was just going to bring up. the president signing the TPP law yesterday. And the other thing, I did hear, you were talking about the infrastructure. I did hear that they were sending, I think it was to all the mayors of all the cities or whatever, they could make out a list of what they were doing to, to repair roads, etc., as you were saying. And that thing right here in New Jersey now, I believe, between Pennsylvania, the Burlington-Bristol Bridge now, it's closed down. It's falling apart.
It's true. Steel has failed, and it's closed. Yeah.
Yeah, so we really do need those done. So I won't take up any more of your time. Congratulations again, and it's a wonderful show, and drive carefully, everybody. Thank you now. Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Pat and Ventnor. Congressman,
Thank you.
we have a few minutes left in your program, about 5 minutes. And I don't want to correct, but I do want to say the president didn't sign a law yesterday. He signed an executive order removing us from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is more often called TPP. With you, Congressman LoBiondo, and I don't just do it to be, one of your loyal soldiers, but I'm also in favor of that move because it positions us stronger. We were in with a crowd, some of them very weak players that had the same authority that we had. That's crazy to play that way.
Well, it is, and it's hurt America. It's hurt America manufacturing. It's hurt America jobs. It's advantaged countries and given situations that just are not good for America. So, this slogan, America First, this resonates. We're talking about, when we say America First, we're saying American jobs. We're saying that the security of America. We're saying that, the infrastructure of America. These are all the things, and I believe that's why Mr. Trump was sworn in as president last Friday, because he understood the things that American people are looking at. Look at the states where these things, I don't want to say matter more than other states, but states he was never supposed to win, the Rust Belt states. And that's because there are serious problems that the past administration just refused to acknowledge and even come close to addressing.
Yeah. Remember, the blue wall, impenetrable, the blue wall. Well, he certainly penetrated it. I mean, who would have thought, the media laughed at him. What is he doing in Michigan? This amateur, he just doesn't know what he's doing. What's he doing in Pennsylvania? He can't win that. He can't win Iowa. He can't win Michigan. He can't win, any of these. And he proved them all wrong.
Yes, he did.
I mean, not just to his credit. He proved them all wrong. I would say 5 states that they told him he had no chance to win. In fact, he did. This is something that you can appreciate because you've been to a number of them. Most of us have never – I've never been to one. Most of us have never been to one. Most of us will never, ever be to one. And you figure if there's 320 million of us and maybe 800,000 or 1 million actually, get out to one of these every 4 years, what's it like? Try to describe for those of us, including myself, who have never been to an actual presidential inauguration. We've watched it. But what's it like actually being there?
Well, I wish my vocabulary allowed me to better describe the actual feeling. I mean, it is a lot of pomp and circumstance, but what you're sort of, it's driven into you while you're sitting there, at least for me, that this doesn't really happen anywhere else in the world the way we do it here. And it's not just the change of party, it's the change of administration. It's a peaceful transfer. The military is not interfering. The military is not involved. The people have spoken, and you've always got some who are the dissenters and the disagreeers. But it was a wonderful moment for the country. Now, if you're a Republican or Democrat, certainly if you were a Democrat, you weren't all that happy. Well, I wasn't all that happy the last 8 years and the last 2 inaugurations, but it was part of what the Founding Fathers envisioned that we move forward with, and it came off without a hitch. It was a wonderful experience.
Isn't it something when literally in 1 second, one fraction of a second, one person goes from being the president to the immediate former president. The other person's now the president. I saw some military people all come right at Trump. I'm assuming some things like, suitcases and, I'm not going to get too descriptive, but some stuff goes on. It is fascinating, and it is beautiful to see this happen the way that you just said.
Well, it is. And when, obviously as a member of Congress, we had our special seating, and it's the pinch you moments. It's, is it real? Am I really here? That, and I'm so thankful to the people of the 2nd Congressional District for allowing me to do this again. For a kid who grew up on a farm in Rosenhain, to have the opportunity to serve in Congress and to be witnessing history as we did on January 20th is a very humbling experience, and it renews my commitment to do the very best job possible for the people who've given me this opportunity once again. So it's all reinforcing about what the nation is all about. Running through my mind, the sacrifices that have been made over the years by men and women who have given everything so that moment could take place. It doesn't take place by accident. There's a lot of blood that's been shed, a lot of sacrifices that have been made and continue to be made so that we could have that one moment. And they're the things that were really sort of driven into me in an extraordinary way during that time I was sitting there.
Congressman LoBiondo, thank you.